Hi there. So my name is Candace, and today I am going to take you through my January wrap up of all the books that I've read or almost completed. I'm in the middle of one right now, but I'm assuming that by the time that January is over, I will be like complete with this one because I'm just kind of like zooming through it. It's so good. So off we go. All right, so the first book that I read this year was Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. And this was one that I had read an excerpt from in middle school. And if you've ever read this book, I will let you know that the excerpt was not as adult as the rest of the book. This is definitely not one for the kids. I read a lot of mature literature, not to include the next two books that you'll see. But this book I was still living in Georgia at the time. I'm in my new house right now. It's probably echoey because we still need to get a lot more stuff to fill it up. But as soon as I was done with it, I called my husband and I just cried. I just bawled my eyes out. It is so good. It's written in a diary type setting, and the reason why that is so important is because the main character, Charlie, he is mentally retarded, and he is chosen for a very special experiment. It's the first time that they would have done it on humans. They've done it on rats and other animals before, and it had worked well with rats, and they went ahead and pushed ahead, and before they really got the proper clearance to do this experiment on humans to try and increase intelligence quotient. So through the writing, because the author writes it as though, and again, I'm assuming that this is correct. I know that mental retardation is on a very, very, very long spectrum, but writes it to the point where you've got to I had to read like the first few entries like out loud to get my brain used to it, because it was actually a little bit difficult to read because some of the words are so misspelled, and I'm already I just jump over words anyway. So it was a little bit tricky at first, but once you get into the rhythm, it's amazing. It's so heartfelt. The protagonist just completely opens himself up, and you get to see this struggle of what it is to come to age as an adult. So basically the biggest trigger in here is that, and not like triggering like, oh, you're going to be upset by it, but the biggest trigger going on in this book is that he is maturing intelligently faster than he is able to mature emotionally. So emotionally, he's still at that lower level, even though he's a 30-year-old man. He's experiencing new things, feeling emotions towards a certain female character. And you just get to go through that with him as he struggles. He can kind of like intelligently get it. It's like somebody who's book smart but not street smart, and I love this book. I'm probably going to end up rereading it again next year. This is probably going to be like one of my I have to reread this every year sort of books. So that's it. Oh, my allergies are kicking my tail right now. So the next two books I read, I will bring up at the same time, and that is The Magician's Nephew and The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Now, why did I not read this one first? Because in timeline wise, this is actually a prequel. So I read The Magician's Nephew first, and then I read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, both by C.S. Lewis, of course, the Narnia Chronicles. And I already had these two. I think that my parents have the rest of my collection of these books. I had quite a few in this actual collector's edition. I think my parents have the rest of them. If not, I will probably go and pick them up anyway. They're not super expensive, and I'll donate them if I do end up having multiple copies. But they're just beautiful, beautiful books, and they are illustrated. So let me get to one. Oh no, there it goes. Okay, well, that's not the prettiest illustration, but you see they have lots of nice illustrations in there as well. Let me find one of like the animals and such. They have some really cool oh, that's because this is the magician's nephew. Dirty. Maybe one of the fight scenes. And it's just really cool going back and reading some of these books as an adult. Because, I mean, of course I read Lion the Witch and the Wardrobe as a kid. And The Magician's Nephew. I don't think I ever made it into the other books because I just... You know, once you read like these two, that was enough for me. But now I want to complete the entire series this year. That's one of my goals. So I will have to get the next couple of books in the series, and I will move on. So the next book that I got was a random buy, and that's because the show is coming out, and that is The Alchemist by Caleb Carr. And of course, this show just premiered a couple of weeks ago on TNT, and I will tell you, so I know that whenever they do movie or TV adaptations of books, you have to expect for some changes to occur. And there are some changes in the TV show that I like because it fixes some of the issues that I actually had with the book. But I did love this book for the story. Now, there were some issues with it. There were some things that I felt like, you know, you're going to have some, oh, they showed up just in the nick of time to save so-and-so, but it felt like that was happening just non-stop in this book, and it was very, very annoying. So I felt as though the TV show threw some things in there that made those situations not quite so, just, like, they weren't just circumstantial. Like, there was a purpose to that person showing up, and I can look at the show and be like, oh, so it's almost like a little behind the scenes thing, because in this book you really only see one perspective, and in the show you get to see multiple perspectives of the different characters. But this was an amazing book. Actually, I did really enjoy it. I don't know if I'd read it again, honestly, but I did enjoy the story, and I plan on watching the rest of the show. So it was very interesting and a good take on the subject matter. It was a psychological suspense thriller, period piece, historical fiction type novel. And I could talk about the story and the background of this book all day, but I did a midway review that was actually my first and only other video. So feel free to take a look at that. And I talk a little bit more in depth about some of the things that I liked about this book. I'm not really going to say much more about what I didn't like because it's just like spoiler ridden and I don't want to ruin it for anybody. And like I said, I did like it. So another read that I did this month was Water for Elephants by Sarah Gruen. And this book, oh gosh, it was just so much fun. Like, I was sitting in the car reading it next to my husband while he was driving and listening to the radio. I would just like grab his arm because I'm like, oh my gosh, just the suspense and everything that's going on. Like, you get so pulled into these characters' lives, and it's so gritty. And I have not seen the movie yet. So I actually bought this book when the movie first came out, and I was just so taken back by the trailer that I was like, I have to read the book before I see the movie, and I really wanted to watch it. The movie's rated PG-13. This is not a PG-13 book. I have no idea what they're going to do in the movie, but to make up for some of that, because circus life was gritty, y'all. Like, whoa. But it was a great book, and I'm assuming that the movie was good too. I'm going to watch it here shortly, so I'm excited for that, to see it play out on screen and to see Robert Pattinson and Reese Witherspoon act it out. So we'll see. We shall see. And then the book that I am currently reading, but I'm almost halfway through with it, I should be halfway through today, is The Girl with All the Gifts. So my husband is the reason why I'm reading this one, because he was like, oh, I want to find this movie online and rent it. And he was like, it's amazing. And he told me it was a zombie movie, and I was like, like, I'm one of those few people that just abhors The Walking Dead. I don't like zombie stuff usually. I think that it's played out. I think that aliens will kill us way before we ever have to deal with something to the scale of a zombie apocalypse. but that's for another video. But anyway, so he showed me the trailer for this movie. And again, just like with Water for Elephants, I was like, oh, I've got to read the book. So I told him, this is how I am. You cannot watch the movie until I finish the book. So that's another reason why I think that I'm going to be done with, and the movie came out a few years ago. I think he's actually already watched it and just isn't telling me because I went out and bought the book. But at least I think he's waiting to watch it again for me to finish it. But that's why I'm going to be done with it before January is up, because I do want to be able to watch that movie with him. But the book is just amazing so far. It's told in a third-person perspective, so you get to see what's going on with a lot of different people, and you get into each of the main characters' minds quite a bit. And I mean, it's zombie, it's post-apocalyptic, but the difference with this one is that there are children who, well, children, they're also hungry, so they're like half human, half hungry. Like they're not quite overtaken by the fungus, and because it's not a virus, it's a fungus. They explain. I didn't understand that part, but I still like the story right now anyway. I'm just not a very scientific thinker. But so they've got a doctor on a military base and a bunch of teachers that come in. The teachers are really more like psychologists to observe the children and how they interact and how they can learn, and to see if, you know, they can learn, or to see if they delve more into that deterred state. So it's really interesting to see, because you're in the mind of one of the little girls, the girl with all the gifts, Melanie, and you get to see her like struggling with the innate desire to like eat her teacher that she loves dearly, but she's got to fight it because she loves this person. So she's like fighting the animalistic and the human side of her. It's just so cool. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm not completely hooked in yet, but I'm going through it, and I'm power reading this one so that I can watch the movie with my husband, because he said if he has to wait too long, then he'll just watch it without me, and then I'll be sad. So I'll stop sniffling on camera now. Those are my books for January. I'm not going to do a TBR for February. I may post something on Instagram about what I plan on trying to get through, or maybe think about reading like some books that I can pull from. But for the most part, I'm a very like emotional, situational reader. So if I want to read something, I'm not going to force myself to just because it's on a list that I posted on YouTube. I'm going to pull from that list. But then if I want to go out to the store and buy something, or if I see something like The Alienist and it catches my attention, then yeah, I'm gonna read that. So anyways, this is what I read for January, and I cannot wait to do another video. I'm about to record another one right now that'll post probably in a week so that I have some space between. But anyways, let me know what y'all are reading, and thanks for joining in. Bye.